Hey, this week on This Is Gravel, we have land run. We have lots of land run. We have Q&A, gear, and we have social media. Hey, and welcome to This Is Gravel. I'm Bobby Thompson, and this is
Neil Taylor.
Neil. How you doing?
Just kind of been thinking about a race recently. I don't know, kind of nervous.
I don't think we don't need to ask what's up. I mean, I think most people know what's up, and that's land run prep this week.
Land Run 100 is here. I mean, we are days away from lining up in downtown Stillwater to take on a new course this year.
Yeah, new course this year, and a new challenge for you.
Yeah, new challenge for me in the fact that I won't be lining up just on Saturday, but on Friday. But this is also what I wanted. When I originally signed up for this, I said I want to go in not knowing if I will complete this or not. You know, centuries, double centuries, 150. I haven't had DNFs in a long time.
Right, a challenge to yourself.
Here's something where I'm lining up Friday to run a 50K, 31 miles, saying, do I make the finish or not? I mean, reality. And the fact that I've struggled with injuries from pretty much January 1st all the way up through this past week. My training hasn't been where it probably needs to be. I've gotten some lengthy runs, though, here leading up to it. And so I've got a plan of how I'm going to attack the 31 miles, but we'll see. I mean, again, there's one of those I don't know factors with it.
And then you got to recover and do the 100 mile the next day.
Exactly. Then I got to stretch, roll, get everything ready, jump on the single speed. I geared it extremely light, like a lot lighter than last year. And last year I actually thought I was too light for last year's course.
Yeah.
I think I could have probably gone a little bit harder, but 42.20, just something easy to spin, something that I will have no problem, even if my legs are just shot, hopefully being able to jump on all day and go. But we'll see.
Well, hopefully just with that gearing, just spinning will help stretch the legs a little bit too.
Yeah, on some of my days, I've done like some 15, 12, 13 mile runs before the injury, and I would jump out the next day and do like a 30-mile ride. And those first 5 miles is what sucked. Okay. Everything after that, legs would get loose, would feel a lot better. Yeah, when you hit some of those climbs and you're not able to click over there and just drop it down 1 or 2 and make it a little bit easier, they feel they're a little tough, but never wasn't able to make it up a hill, and felt good most of my days that I rode after runs, but none of those were 31 miles.
Wow.
So see how it goes.
Yeah.
You got a new experience this year though too, don't you?
I do. We're both going in something new. Yeah, I'm going in going to ride the tandem with Jeff Young, friend of mine, and we're clueless. We have no idea. We've ridden the tandem one time. We rode it 40 miles. There was 1 mile of mud that we had to walk during that 40 miles. I pushed the bike, and Jeff played on Instagram while we walked the 1 mile. So I don't know if that's a telling tale of what's going to go into this weekend or not, but we have no more prep than that. We know how each other rides bikes. We ride pretty similar. Our results are pretty similar, even though we always try to unofficially beat each other. Yeah. So we don't ride together that often just because we know each other's mood swings and when to let each other go. However, we're not going to be able to just let each other go. We're stuck together for the ride. So it could be interesting, but we're both prepping as if we were individual riders. I mean, I have my feed bag and my top 2 bag like I normally do, and he's using his back pockets. And
does the friendship last past land run? That's the question.
It'll be. We really have no idea what to expect. Yeah. So I mean, we have hopes that the day works out great, but I know that at some point, if the day, it's just like any ride that we've all been on. You go into the ride, thinking one thing, but if some point in time it goes bad, then you just settle down, you recover, and then you just finish the ride out. And I know that we will be able to do that part. So if we can just avoid all the rest of it and just ride.
Yeah, and the biggest probably struggle will be if you come across a point where you got to walk, where you got to carry the bike for a mile, for a mile and a half, 2 miles. How do you do that? How do you divvy? Because I mean, you're talking, it's tandem. It's not something you just toss on your back and.
Yeah, and you know, I was joking a little bit with. I mean, he was Instagramming as I was pushing the bike. I'm not joking. He seriously was Instagramming, but there was a conversation that it was too hard. It was kind of uncomfortable for us both to be pushing the bike that close to each other, because we couldn't stand right beside each other because we had to walk in the ditch, which was really sharp angled. And if he stood on the other side, he was walking in the mud. And so it was just you know what, you just stand over there and I'll push the bike. It's only a mile.
Maybe kind of just switch on and off
if
it was something long. Okay.
So we'll see how it works out.
Somebody's got to do the gramming while it's taking place, right?
Exactly. I'll tell you what, one of the most exciting things about these kind of events, though, is talking about these events and getting questions from friends, talking about all the questions from friends. I know I've been asked a ton. You've been asked quite a bit. Let's officially on the show answer some of the questions that we've been asked. So.
You going first?
Yep,
awesome. All right, let's flip this over first.
Land run specific Q&A.
All right, Bobby.
Yes.
Are you checking the weather?
I checked. So yeah, I check the weather daily.
How many times daily?
I do not let the weather bother me, but it is something, again, same as looking at your bike, thinking about your bike. You're thinking about the event, and with Land Run more than any other event I think that we do, just because of the history of it, you can't think of Land Run without thinking about the weather.
Yeah.
Just because it's the way it's been. So do I worry about the weather? No.
Yeah, I don't worry about it anymore. The only thing that I look at it really for is the temperature. I'm not concerned about the moisture. I mean, we know that there's possibly some rain early on in the week. Mm-hmm. There's some wind, hopefully drying it off, just based upon what I looked at. Hopefully drying it off Thursday. Mm-hmm. The one nice thing is I get to run on Friday and see what the roads already look like.
Right.
And so I'll be out there Friday running through it, kind of getting an idea of how tacky they are. Are they wet? Are they drying off well from some of the sunshine? It looks like there's some sun lining up. But if it's wet and it's muddy, it's wet and it's muddy. We've done that before. If it's dry, rarely happens, but we've done that before, and that's great too. The big thing is, how cold is it going to be at the start of the race?
That's exactly right. What do you start off with in clothing?
Exactly. Yep. What am I going to wear? Because I don't like starting off miserable.
Right.
If I can start off comfortable, strip some layers, whatever it might be, that will be a whole lot better. That's what I look at. Rain, it's Land Run 100. If you didn't know this signing up, shame on you kind of thing.
Rain in 50s are great. Rain in 30s, not so much.
Yeah.
But rain in 50s, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
So. And I did see, last time I looked, if it'll change, I know tomorrow, but last time I looked, it was 30 start and mid-50s throughout the day with partly sunny skies. So there's the weather. So that's a pretty dang good day.
It'll change by the time this gets on the internet.
Absolutely. That's probably true. Actually, yeah. This comes out within 24 hours, but it'll change again. All right. Neil, are you concerned about tire choice?
No.
You ride what you got.
Yeah. I've had the Maxxis Ramblers on for the past year now, and I've had zero issue with them. They'll do me good, I'm sure, down in Oklahoma as they do for me up here in the Flint Hills. The reality is, and again, if you've been down there at Land Run, they don't have the sharp flint like we do here in the Flint Hills, so I'm not necessarily worried about some of the punctures. It's not to say it doesn't happen down there, and that you could have a flat, but I haven't seen as much, and I don't, for me at least, feel like it's worth going skinnier than a 38 just to be able to avoid some mud clearance.
Yeah.
I want comfort.
The questions that I have been asked on, specifically on this, is tire clearance, but also slicks versus knobbies on the tire choice. And what I have said is, if it was dry like last year, I absolutely think that a sidewall protected slick would be a heck of a tire out there. I really do. 38, 40. I don't think you need to go any lower than that. But yeah, I do think it'd be a great tire. The problem with it if it's wet during the ride, it's usually not really peanut buttery mud. It's slippery mud, like a slippery clay. And I think that slicks on that kind of mud would be a horrible idea, going down some of those hills and with a corner at the bottom.
Yeah, their mud, we always think about their mud as peanut butter, and there's definitely peanut butter out there. But, I mean, I remember 2 years ago, just the sloppiness sometimes. And you couldn't hold a line, down those hills. And then also we weren't having brakes down those hills usually either. And so slicks could be really dangerous.
Yeah, it's not a silty dirt, right? It's clay. Yeah. So, I agree. And the other thing to tie with, like what you just said right there, if it is peanut buttery mud, then it's going to accumulate no matter what. And it accumulates within a matter of 100 feet, 50 feet, not over a mile, not slowly. So no matter what, if it's peanut butter or mud, that clearance is going to go away in a heartbeat. Yeah, so it doesn't matter even if you put on 32s. If you go 32s, you're not getting through the mud. But
all right, what's in your seat bag for repair issues or probably other issues that arrive?
Yeah, so land run. Another question: do you carry stuff that you wouldn't normally carry in your seat bag? I carry stuff to change one tire because I don't expect a lot of flats at the land run. I've run tubeless with orange seal, and it has served me extremely well to the point where I don't really even think about flatting anymore. I carry that. I'll carry a plug for the tire just in case, and then I will carry a spare derailleur hanger, and that's what I'll carry in the seat bag. You?
Minus the derailleur hanger?
Yeah.
It's identical.
Right.
I mean, nothing different. Maybe a little duct tape boot if, I'm going to hit a sidewall, but again, not something I'm necessarily worried about so much down there. But yeah, just in case you get something. Yeah. I've got it there just in case because it's.
I will say I'll make sure and verify that the multi-tool I have does allow me to break my chain, and I'll carry a quick link for converting to a single speed.
And with the tube, I know that we've talked about this on other shows before too, and we found this out one time on a group ride here. Check your tube. Check your spare tube that's been sitting there all winter or a while. We were on a group ride back last summer, and there was a flat, and we went through 4 tubes before we found one that didn't have a little hole in it because, we are riding gravel. Grit gets inside of our bags even sometimes, or maybe something else is puncturing it, a multi-tool or, the tool to put the plug in. Make sure that your spare tube is actually going to hold air because if it doesn't, that's going to kind of be a bummer when you are out there on the land run 50 miles in and you don't have a tube that works.
I can tell you right now, in my garage, I have a plastic container that has 7 or 8, because I just saw it yesterday, tubes that are, wound up and ready to be tossed in the seat bag. Those tubes are probably 3 or 4 years old. Yeah. I have no idea if they've dried out, got a split in them, haven't aired them up forever. If I just throw one of those in there and then that's my only salvation.
And the reality is, too, I've gotten tubes before that I take them out of the box first time they've used, and they just had a defect in them. Check your spare tubes. I mean, it's not a bad thing to do before any race, not just land runs.
No, it can take people a while to get to you, especially if there is a little bit of mud out there. The vehicles have to find a roundabout way to find you. So a pickup is not fast sometimes, especially if you're cold, muddy, wet. So, all right. Number 4. Here's a good one. How early do you show up to something like the land run, and where do you line up at the starting line?
Okay, so we're talking about how early we start, show up in the week?
Show up to the race, to the event morning.
Event itself?
Yeah, in the morning.
It depends how cold it is, I'll be honest with you. If it's going to be around 30, if it's going to be around freezing this year, I don't want to be out there too early. Having said that, I'll still probably be there at least 7:15 to 7:30, just knowing me. I like to get there because once I get there, it seems like a lot of those nerves that I have sitting in the hotel go away. Because all of a sudden I'm around my buddies. It's, hugs and high fives and, hey, wishing each other good luck. And so all that sitting in the hotel nervous energy that's there just goes away. Yeah. And so I try to get down there usually at least 45 minutes ahead of time.
Do you concern yourself whatsoever with where you line up?
Not really. Okay. I mean, especially this year. I mean, doing the double, it's going to be I'll just kind of hang towards the back and work my way up if I can. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to go all the way at the back. But there have been years at Land Run where I've been stuck at the back pretty far. Last year, I lined up, I don't know, maybe 10 rows deep from the front just because I felt like I was in really good physical shape. And so I wanted to kind of see what I could hold out the gate for a while. Yeah. And so I went with it that way. But this year, probably around the middle. I mean, just truthfully, because we'll see how my legs feel after Friday. What are you thinking?
So this is another thing that Jeff and we've talked about this because we have a tandem. This isn't one of those deals where you pop the bike up and you wander into the middle and set the bike down. We have a big bike. So yeah, unfortunately, we probably will show up early this year just to be able to set the bike down comfortably. I always have to visit the porta potties one more time because of pre-race jitters, and no matter what, it just happens. So I'll have to go and
it happens.
Laugh if you want, but it just happens. So so yeah, I'll get there a little bit early, and I think this is the hard part. Well, okay, when the map came out today. Today, so the first 15 miles is pretty much straight and straight again. That helps us out. Because one thing we haven't done is taking a lot of turns in big groups. And, we have the potential to, at least in the beginning, with two of us pushing that tandem to be a little bit speedy in the early part. And so, yeah, it's hard to think about maneuvering through, what the crowds are like in the first 10 miles of these rides, right? So that'll help out. And I think the closer we are to the front, not in the front, but the closer we are to the front, the easier it'll be for us just to grab a lane and keep that lane. So we'll push up a little early to the event and try to get closer to the front. So
sounds like fun. All right.
We have no clue.
And kind of going with that question, this last one, we experience this, especially for new people in a lot of races. I've kind of heard this from folks, but what's that first 10 miles like? Yeah,
first 10 miles of a mass start larger event. I want to specifically say, from an example, at DK, Dirty Kansas 4 years ago, my niece wanted to ride the DK 50. And she did not have a lot of experience on the bike, and she had more of a big towny kind of bike, but capable, hard, but capable of getting out there and back. She ended up wrecking a mile and a half because of the large group, the speed of the people going around her, people trying to go to the right of her off on the shoulder just because she was a little bit slower. She wrecked, and she ended up with a lifelong huge scar going all the way down her calf. The beginning of these rides, if you're not paying attention, don't be on the phone. Don't be setting up your Garmin as you're rolling out. Have all that done and pay attention to the riders in front of you and behind you, because a lot of people don't know exactly where to start off. They may start off in the wrong spot. They may not have enough confidence in themselves, and they should have started further in a different spot. Or they may just, somebody else in front of them started off in the wrong spot. So there's all kinds of varying speeds. There's varying skill levels. And that first 10 miles is more or less a shakeout ride. Especially, I did notice, have you looked at the map yet?
Yeah.
The first 10 miles does have a couple of big hills. Those will help shake out, but on those hills, somebody in front of you can be going a lot slower than you on a hill, and you're trying to get around them.
Well, and the way they're going out, if I'm not mistaken, is the way that they came into town back in 2016 and 2015. Okay. It's coming back in that same road, and so but now we're just going out the opposite direction of it. But those first 10 miles were jam-packed. It's like sardines, and it's tough because in different races I've lined up in different places based upon how I felt, and I've always said I should have been further up. Yeah, because I find myself, especially on hills, almost running into the person in front of me.
Right.
Again,
because you want to maintain that momentum.
Yeah, you mentioned Dirty Kansas. There's been a time I had to get, when we get out to the B roads that were there about 12, 13 miles in, I had to really go over the edge and some of the chunkier stuff to get around somebody, because it was either that or hit the back of them or hop off my bike. Yeah, because they were going so slow. And so try to kind of seed yourself where you think you're going to be. I find if I'm a little bit too far up, folks will get past me, but it also, again, it keeps me moving as well. If I do line up too far back, then I've got to be that one weaving in between people, especially on climbs. Yeah. But it's going to be jam-packed. Pay attention. Yeah, don't be gramming. There's no reason to take out the phone, take those pictures.
Yeah, you see people riding and they got one hand up here taking a video. I would never have done that in my
that whole thing is for like 50 miles in, If you want to give one of these, not 10 miles in, pay attention. Not even really, I would say 10. I would say probably that first 15 to 20. Stay focused.
The second year I was at Land Run, I had a flat 2 or 3 miles outside of town. And I had still not been riding that long. And it took me a long time to change this flat. all the 50 milers had also gone by me. I was completely last place, and it was kind of fun because the whole rest of the day, you're just kind of, everyone's already broken apart. So at that point, you're just weaving through the entire, it was fun for about 30 miles, and then, you're all by yourself. But the important thing is to remember that all but a very, very, very select few, and most of the people watching this show are not in that select few, are going to be on a podium at the end of the day. If you don't feel comfortable or somebody irritates you to the point where you're kind of, you get a little, you're a little anxious, just pull over for a second and regroup, because it's that minute that it takes those people to go by you, it means nothing in the scope of the entire day.
Yeah.
So, any other questions that pop up in your head? That's all we have on paper.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's about all I can think of. Just make sure that you're comfortable. I would say at the start when it comes to gear, dress. If it's gonna be freezing, dress comfortable, but make sure it's layered that you can pull things off.
Okay.
Because I know that a lot of people have asked about different clothing layers. I mean, we got people coming to this race from a lot of different climates that haven't experienced winters or freezing temperatures on their rides that don't know exactly how to do it. So, layers, be able to pull things off. Yeah.
Let me ask you then, for a ride that starts off in the 30s and let's just say the forecast as of today holds true. Let's say it starts off in the 30s and it tops out in the 50s. What are you wearing?
I will probably go light at the beginning, even though I like being warm. Base layer, just Under Armour or something like that. Base layer.
Thermal wool base layer?
Probably not even that.
Okay.
I mean, just something light that's going to be nice and breathable later on. And then probably go some arm warmers just to keep kind of that forearm nice and warm. Obviously, I have my jersey on over top. And then my legs, I like keeping warm. I can get a little bit cold up top and not feel bad. But if my legs are cold, it's pretty bad. So it'll be something thermal down low to keep me warm. And reality is I can wear that at 30 and I can wear them at 50 and usually be comfortable. So
nice.
If I got to strip it halfway, through, I'll find the Mulready's tent and hop in somewhere and drop trow and throw new ones on and go, I guess. But or maybe find a porta potty. That might be more appropriate.
Yeah, it might be more appropriate.
My biggest,
although it's not uncommon at the Mulready's tent for people to be doing that. I'm just saying. So
my biggest concern, honestly, when it comes to my at least apparel, what I'm going to be wearing for the race is my shoes, because are my feet going to be swollen? Are they going to be hurting? Am I going to want to put something on that's going to keep my toes nice and toasty and warm, or is the numb feeling going to actually be really nice the day after running 31 miles? And so I actually am bringing down 3 different pairs of cycling shoes. One, my cycling boots, and then my lace-up ones, and then ones that Velcro on that have a little bit extra space, just because I don't know what's going to be comfortable that morning. So.
Cool.
All right, we've been talking enough about what we've been up to. Let's check out social media and see what you guys have been doing.
Hey, thank you to everybody that submitted social media this week on our Instagram and Facebook pages. First off, we got this photo from Savon down right in the Fort Worth and Dallas levees. Rode 50 miles over 2 days. What a good ride. Joe said he saw his first gravel in months on a weekend getaway to Westminster, Colorado, headed to Land Run 100 this weekend. Todd went out and welcomed a buddy from Nebraska to Marysville, Kansas on his ride to Stillwater. Scott was out at Lake Apopka Trail in Central Florida. Sharon got in some urban miles around Dallas and some single track on Sunday on the single speed. Way to go, Sharon. Kate was out exploring the gravel roads and water crossings in Missouri. Tiffany got 3 hours of light mountain biking in and pump track riding with her kids in Bentonville, Arkansas. Looks like an awesome time, Tiffany. Nicholas sent in this photo riding around Colorado Springs. Rob Finnegan got in 5.5 hours of riding just outside of Lincoln, Nebraska. Eric said Southern California finally dried out enough to ride some dirt. What awesome photos we had coming into social media this week. If you'd like to see yours featured, make sure you hashtag it, ThisIsGravel.
Awesome, guys. We love seeing what you've been up to. Make sure this weekend down at Land Run to catch us. We will be there. We love talking to most of you. Probably all of you. I'm just kidding. We love you all. Make sure to get hugs. Bobby loves hugs. I love hugs. And if you see producer Matt or any of the crew, you know what? They'll have on some Gravel Guru stuff, I'm sure. Make sure to run up to them. Give them hugs, too. They might even have some swag for you, I hear.
Bring some zebra cakes.
Bobby says bring zebra cakes. I'm
impartial?
Yeah.
You're not a zebra cake fan?
I'll eat whatever you give me for the most part.
We'll see you down in Stillwater, everybody.